Hey guys, it's the WalterFootball.com After Dark Show for January 26, 2024. We're going to be doing the Week 21 NFL picks against the spread for the 2023 NFL season. That's the conference championship games. It's our Thursday thoughts here. And as usual on our Thursday thoughts show, we have QuackyTake with Tommy. Quacky, how's it going?
It's going great, Walt. Hey, finally, this is like the first week in a while where I've been really proud of my performance. If it weren't for the Bills, the Bills kind of beat themselves last week, I would have been 4-0. But it was a great week with the games. The first two games went. I mean, it was a shame that my Packers didn't win. The 49ers did not win did not deserve to win that game. We'll get into that later, but pretty much all the games went as I expected them to, as I thought they would, except for the Chiefs Bills. So hopefully we can keep riding that momentum into Sunday.
Yeah, and even that one could have gone either way. Like, if Josh Allen hits the pass into the end zone, if Stephon Diggs catches a pass, if Tyler Bass hits a field goal, that could have gone the other way, really. So you were super close to going 4-0. So great week on your part. I was not, unfortunately, went 1-3, but still finished in the black, money wise, because we hit our top pick with the Lions. So it's a 5-unit bet with the Lions. It's like the only game I loved really last weekend, but I love both games this weekend. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a nice 2-0 for us.
Let's do it. I hope so. I have strong feelings on both games as well. So
okay, awesome. Yeah, and we'll get into some other stuff as usual, as we usually do on Thursday. So please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit the link in the description for their merch store. It would mean a lot to us. Chris says Lamar is our only hope to stop Britney, Jackson, and Taylor Swift. I think everyone is pretty sick of all that stuff. I guess not everyone. Some people love it for some reason, but it is. We need Lamar. We need Lamar Jackson to really step up and stop this for us.
And hey, what's up, Mike? How's it going, man?
Hey, Mike. Thanks for joining us. And if you really want to help support the show, hit subscribe, because we are getting close to 4,000 subs, which I would love to get by the Super Bowl. We're 65 shy of that. So next week I'm gonna have to start begging on Twitter. Please don't make me beg. Please hit subscribe so we get to 4,000, and I don't have to sweat that one out. Also, please consider super chats. So we got some great super chats last Thursday and also on Tuesday. Like I've been saying, YouTube ads really suck. Like, they were bad before Christmas. Like, we're getting $5 an episode. Like, they're really bad now because no one advertises in Q1. That's January through March. So it's like 20% of what it was before Christmas. So please help support the show with the super chats. And anything would go a long way in helping the show go on. So really, it would be awesome. So let's get into these games. The first one is Chiefs the Ravens. It's at 3:00. The Ravens opened 3.5. It's now up to 4 in I think every sports book. I couldn't find 3.5 anywhere. Caesar's 3.5. It's the only one I see. Everything else is 4. So if you want to lock into 3.5, you can go ahead and do that. I think there is some merit to that, but we'll get into that later. The injuries, there are a couple things worth noting. 3 things worth noting. One, Mark Andrews practiced fully on Wednesday and Thursday, so looks like he's good to go. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play this game, and if he does play, I'd be surprised if he wasn't full go, because I don't think they'd risk him if he was not 100%. 2, Isaiah Pacheco has missed Wednesday and Thursday's practice. I still think there's a chance that he returns. Like, Friday's the big day. If he misses Friday as well, it's not going to look good for him. But it's still up in the air. And also, Marlon Humphrey has been limited in practice Wednesday and Thursday. The Ravens have missed him the past few weeks. Looks like he has a good chance to return. Not that he's like really needed for this matchup, but it would still be nice to have him. So my stance on this game hasn't changed. I love the Ravens. I think the spread is way too low. I think the Ravens are just a lot better than the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have gotten super lucky recently. The Bills game they could have lost, despite the Bills missing half their defense, or maybe even more than half their defense. The Chiefs barely beat them, and they beat the Dolphins, who are really banged up. But like the Chiefs, like late in the year, they've been really underwhelming. Like, they lost to the Raiders at home. They had trouble putting the Patriots away. They had trouble putting the Bengals away, quarterbacked by Jake Browning. It's just like this team hasn't been that great, and I've been looking to fade them. It was tough to do that last week because the Bills are so banged up. I had a unit on the Bills, but it wasn't like there wasn't much conviction there for me because just Buffalo was in such a bad shape. But Baltimore's not. Like Baltimore has just been like steamrolling through everyone, and I think they do that in this game. I think that the spread should be 7.5 or 8. Like I think this is way too low. So yeah, I'm super high on the Ravens. I'm considering them as my pick of the month. Curious to hear what you have on this game, Tom.
Yeah, I really like the Ravens a lot here too, Walt. And I'm surprised though that you said it as high as 7. I would say that I thought this line would be closer to 6, but 7.5 and 8. I didn't think it would be that high. I'm surprised to see it this low. I really love the Ravens here. I've been saying this all year that the Chiefs haven't looked like themselves. I can't believe they made it this far. I mean, really, let's look. I mean, they've kind of tiptoed their way through that, that first game. Well, I don't know if I'd say tiptoed, but that game against Miami, I mean, it was actually decently close in the first half, but Miami was injured. Seems like the cold really got to them. And then I still cannot believe the Bills lost that game. I mean, the Chiefs tried to hand that game, like that fumble, that touchback fumble. I mean, it's like the Chiefs were trying to hand the Bills the game, and they still found a way to win. Like everything went wrong for the Bills there. I'm surprised that the Chiefs are here. I'm wondering if maybe the public just thinks, oh, like they're back to form. I don't think so at all. Something, I've said this many times on the show. I love Mahomes. I love Andy Reid. I don't have anything against this Chiefs, but I don't like this version of the Chiefs. They lead the league in drop passes, though I thought they did a little bit better last week from what I saw. I think that Baltimore's going to win in a romp here. I'm surprised the Chiefs made it this far. I might consider taking, I definitely consider taking the Ravens like -6.5, maybe even -9 here. Just this Chiefs team is not, they're not the same. I can't believe they're here, and I expect them to. I expect the Ravens to roll them.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear we're on the same side. So, with my numbers, that was like one of them is based on EPA. The EPA does not like the Chiefs at all. The Ravens are number 2. They're number 2 team in EPA. Funny enough, the Rams are number 1. And they lost in the first round, but like that game could have easily gone their way. Like they were 0 for 3 in the red zone against Detroit. And we just saw Detroit beat Tampa. They had a 2 touchdown lead until the very end. So I trust these rankings. So the Ravens are number 2. The Chiefs are 20th in EPA. The metrics do not like the Chiefs at all. And it's easy to see why, just based on those results I mentioned earlier. Like they've had trouble beating bad teams or like teams missing their quarterbacks. And now they're going to be matched up against the best remaining team in the NFL. I think it could get ugly for them. I like the alternate spread that you were talking about, the -6.5, just because 7 is the second most likely result of any NFL game. So I'm looking at Ravens -6.5 is +124 on FanDuel. It might be different on Bookmaker because I don't know if Bookmaker will allow you to go that high. So Ravens, you can't go higher than -6 on the Bookmaker. It's -6 is +116. So yeah, I think I'd rather have the -6.5 +124 there. I think that's a good call.
I think so too. And for those that think, look at all the things that went wrong for the Bills. Mahomes, there was going into last week, there was the Mahomes never played a playoff game on the road narrative. But look at all the things that the Bills had to screw up. And the Chiefs still only won by a field goal. I still, that was so frustrating. I really wanted to see the Bills go far this year. But a lot of things went wrong. I just have a hard time seeing that. Like you said, the Ravens are definitely the best team left, in my opinion, certainly in the AFC. I just don't think they're going to make as many mistakes as the Bills did. I think that this is going to be a blowout. I'm surprised that -6 is only, what did you say, is +166, or did you say +124? What did you say?
-6 is +116 and -6.5 is +124.
Okay. I thought it would maybe be a little bit more, but I guess that sounds about right. I want no parts of the Chiefs here. The only reason I could see maybe consider backing them as if you believe in the Taylor Swift narrative that they want her at the Super Bowl. But I think, that could be like a little reverse. If people are, where is the money going anyway? If people, I mean, I'm sure that there's people in the Chiefs. In fact, I know because I've talked to people who like them, at least in part because of that narrative, which makes sense. I mean, it's going to be more money for the NFL, but at the same time, I mean, that's an angle. Maybe the books are in on that angle too. But where is the money going?
It's dead even 50-50 right now. But so for bets it's 50-50. For money it's 2/3 Ravens. So it looks like the sharp money moved the line from 3.5 to 4. Yeah, that looks like sharp money in Baltimore.
Not even Taylor Swift can save this team now. But I mean, it's going to be tough playing in Baltimore. They did better last week with the drop passes, but I think it could come back to bite them this week again. I think Ravens by at least 7 here.
Yeah, I like that as well. Alan asking, "Hey guys, bad weather possible impact this at all?" I look at the weather. It says I closed the window for some reason. It says 44 degrees, definite rain, 13-mile-an-hour winds. For winds, like anything below 20, I'm not that concerned. Rain, I think, is overrated. I don't think rain is a big deal, unless you're Brock Purdy, apparently. But definite rain, unless it's like a torrential downpour, it's not going to impact the game very much. In fact, it could favor the offenses because cornerbacks could slip in coverage. So yeah, I don't think so, especially with like Baltimore being so run heavy. Like if anything, like if the weather is bad, like that will favor Baltimore, just because like I feel like the Chiefs are gonna have to throw more than Baltimore will.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with you on that. What are the winds? Did you say? What are they supposed to be?
13 mile an hour. It's not bad.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to have a huge impact either. Regardless, again, like Walt said, unless it's torrential downpour, I think the only way that the Ravens don't, a lot of things are going to have to happen for the Ravens to not cover this. In my opinion, it would have to be a lot of turnovers and some crazy stuff. I think the Chiefs, their luck is really going to run out this week.
Yeah. The Fantasy Football Show says thumbs up, everyone. What's up, Walt? Check out the Fantasy Football Show, everyone. Did Tampa lose because of the lack of done weather preparedness? Yeah. Those harsh weather conditions in Detroit. Is that one?
Yeah, they didn't take it seriously enough. They should have heeded the question there.
I know. I mean, you never know. Like that walk from the bus to the stadium, which Todd Bowles said was 20 minutes. Like maybe that had a huge impact on the team. You never know.
That's funny. This came up on my stream recently. Like, when you're a kid and like you might walk outside like in the cold, like without a jacket just for like a second, and your parents are like, someone be like, come back in, you gotta put a jacket on, you'll catch a cold. Has that ever happened to anyone, or are our parents just lying to us? But maybe it happened to Tampa Bay.
Well, the thing is like,
at best it's neutral. Like it can't help, but like.
Well, like it lowers your immune system, but like if you're not interactive with anyone who's sick, then it doesn't matter,
Yeah, like that's what I'm like. If you go out in the has anyone ever gone out in the cold? Like I don't know, like just like go grab the newspaper or something without a jacket, and then like the next day they're sick and like, oh, I went outside without a jacket. That's how I got sick. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a non-zero number, but hey, maybe it happened. Fantasy Football Show. Maybe that's The Bucks didn't heed the warning from the reporter and their parents, and that's probably what happened there.
Right, exactly. That reminds me of when I went to I was at the Super Bowl with Charlie in Minnesota, and man, I'm never going there again in the winter. It's just so bad. It was like -5 degrees every day there during the weekend, and I was at a party with Charlie, and someone took my coat, so I only had a suit on, and so. We had to walk from the venue to a train station, and like I just had a suit. I was freezing because it was -5. It was awful, and like we had to wait for the train too, and there was nothing indoors. Like it was outside for some reason, so like I couldn't even wait indoors. And there's actually a button that said press for heat, and I pressed for heat, and like this yellow light like shone down on me, and like it was like a little bit warmer. I was like, oh man, this is like the worst feeling ever.
Just when you thought you were saved, it's like, wow, this does like next to nothing.
No, it was better than nothing.
Did you catch a cold, Walt, from that?
No. It was during a stretch in which like I went like 5 years without getting sick, and that was like during that stretch. So no, I didn't get sick. Although we took the train to the Mall of America, which is like enormous. There's like 20 lid stores in there. It's crazy. Wow. But like I was for some reason there was no stores that were selling coats because it was February, and I guess they're waiting for like they're trying to sell some spring stuff. Like seriously, like there were like no stores that were that were selling coats, and we finally found one. But like as we're shopping, like I was in this I can't remember which store it was. It was a department store of some sort, and Charlie went to the bathroom, so I was just like walking around just browsing, and I was wearing a suit, and like this like guy comes up is like it's like a big guy, he's wearing sunglasses, and he's got like two people like right by his side, they're also wearing sunglasses, and he's like yo, where's the men's department. I'm like I don't work here. And he's like, oh. And like he and his like cohorts like turn around and like, who was that? Was it someone famous? Like it's so weird. Because like there's a lot of random people in town for the Super Bowl, you know?
One time I wore I had like this blue like button-up shirt at Best Buy, and like some lady was like, do you work here? And like your daughter was with her. She's like, Mom, I told you he doesn't work here. So yeah, I've been mistaken for employees too.
Yeah, I read about this in Jerks of the Week, or actually my book too. I met this girl who was a fan of the site. She was like in for Philly, and she worked for a like a small like phone cell phone company. And like they had a convention there or whatever, and like she told me to meet her there, and so like I was there, and like she's like well, pretend you work here. I'm like, what? She's like yeah, you had to be a worker here to get in. I'm like, oh, okay. So like I was like walking around and telling people, I was like, oh, you should get this, and like I was trying to like talk to people into like getting deals and stuff. So it was a fun night.
Did you make any commissions that night, or what was the situation here?
No, I did not get any commissions, but the boss bought me a drink and a shirt at the bar afterwards, so it worked out. So yeah. Slew and Red Eye saying a major concern for me is Mahomes having a big game with his creative scrambles after seeing how pedestrian quarterbacks have run for good yardage against the Ravens. Well, I mean, aren't you also concerned about Lamar Jackson doing the same thing? Like, and like. Mahomes hasn't done that much running in the playoffs thus far, which is a bit surprising to me. Like,
yeah, I've noticed that too.
He's had like one long run in each game, and then that's it. So I don't know. Maybe he'll run more in this game, but he hasn't really done that. So I'm not too concerned.
Yeah. What's going on, Slew? Appreciate all the interaction here on the show and on Twitter, man. I appreciate you. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, for sure. John asking 7-point teaser Ravens 49ers. That would require teasing through 0, which I do not recommend. I loved the teaser last week of Detroit and Kansas City up to 8.5. But like that, I thought that was a great teaser and it hit. I don't see a teaser this week. It would have to involve the total, and I just wouldn't do that. So,
but I know I've talked about this before, and I don't disagree. But like, if you like the Lions, like why not? Even though like why not take them to 13 or 14? Hey, Alan, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you.
Yeah, Alan, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Really appreciate it. He's asking, I know it's early in the week, any really confident player props, either game or parlay. So I've said this before. I love mobile quarterbacks over rushing yards in the playoffs. These guys will run more often than usual. So I don't think you can go wrong. Like so far in the playoffs, it's gone 2-1 in each of the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. The only the loser in the round 1, I know Mahomes got over and Josh Allen got over. I forget who the loser in round 1 was. But the last week, there were Lamar Jackson was over, Josh Allen was over, Mahomes was under. So yeah, like it's been 4-2 in the playoffs so far. So I would go Mahomes over rushing yards. I would go Lamar Jackson over rushing yards. I haven't done all the props yet. I will have them up, but I would consider Zay Flowers under receiving yards. Kansas City's great against number 1 receivers. So I would go under there for sure. In the other game, I definitely want to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He didn't get there last week, but this is San Francisco's secondary. We'll get to it, but they're not that good. So I would consider the under there. I would also consider Lions sacks over. I don't know what the number is. I haven't looked, but I've been doing free agency rankings, and I haven't really been impressed with San Francisco's offensive line. I think Detroit could get to him, so I would consider that as well. Although I do like Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle over, and I think that I would consider Brock Purdy over as well. So yeah, and also I can't forget about this one. Mecole Hardman under receiving yards. It was like 12 last week or something. Like, he sucks. He catches like one pass for 3 yards, and he'll get like a 10-yard end around. Like that's like all he'll do the entire game. I bet it under the first round. It hit. I forgot to do it round 2, and it hit as well. So like, I think people were looking at his week 18 game where he had like a decent performance. That was against backups. He's just not a good player, and so I would go under, especially with like Darius Toney potentially returning this week. So that's what I have right now off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm gonna have more on the site. So thank you so much, Alan, for the super chat.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Alan. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. John recommending Kelsey under 5.5 receptions. Yeah, I mean, Kelsey went nuts last week, but remember, Buffalo is missing like all of its linebackers. Baltimore is a lot better against tight ends, so I think that Kelsey is not going to do as well this week. Let's see what else.
Got Muhammad Savi with the YSCMC at 19.5 carries.
I actually bet it. I bet him under 18 carries last week, and that hit. It barely hit. I think he had 17, but Christian McCaffrey doesn't get like a ton of carries. Like, he's not a 20+ carry guy. Like, he can do it on occasion, but usually he'll get like 16 to 19 or so. And like, people will bet it over because they're like, oh, McCaffrey's going to get the ball a lot. But like, what happens is that like he'll just catch a ton of passes. So there's that. Also, there's a chance that the Lions have the lead in this game, and McCaffrey's not going to be able to run as much as people think.
I was thinking the same thing. I just took the words out of my mouth there.
Right. So that's another prop, Alan, that they're like as well. The McCaffrey under 19.5 rushing yards. 19.5 carries.
19.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, that would be incredible. To definitely take it over. And then watching it hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah. You ever see, like, I don't know if you ever, I didn't really dabble with it too much. Those prize picks, you know what prize picks is? It's just like basically like,
unfortunately it's not legal in PA. So I'd have to travel to New Jersey to do that.
Yeah, I haven't, I played like a handful or two of them, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago. I just haven't like really done it since. But they have like these specials where it's like, okay, like Nikola Jokic, like over half a point in the game. Right. It's like, you know, as like a booster, like to boost your, you know, your play. I always think like it would be my luck, like before he even gets a shot or gets hurt. Like that sounds like something that would happen to me. Imagine betting the under, like taking the under. I think it is the only option is over. So, but that sounds like something that would happen to me. So
yeah, I saw they like sportsbooks have that prop as well. Like take the Chiefs plus 76 in week 1. Bet 200, get 200 in bonus bets, so stuff like that. And like watch them lose like 77-0. I always thought that was interesting.
Like the dream team. What was that? What they lost by like 60 something? It was like 64 point. And they're like, I got him at plus 66. There's no way. That's true.
Right.
or plus 63 rather.
Yeah. Oh man. John says FanDuel is minus 300 odds for the Patriots releasing Kayshon Boutte for those interested. Really? That's it's kind of a weird prop to have. Why would they release Kayshon Boutte? Like, there's weird odds for that. I don't know. I don't know. Are you making that? Maybe you're making that up. I don't know. But
I was gonna say I'm not sure I've ever seen, like, I've seen like first coach to be fired and stuff, but I don't think I've ever. Well, no, I guess I have, like, where will this player play? But
right
next season sort of thing. But releasing, I'm not sure I've seen that. Maybe you're.
Yeah.
Oh, we got busted gambling.
Chris asking, did it look to you guys like the Ravens struggled in the first half? Was that rust, or a good defensive scheme from the Ryans. So I actually like the Texans +3 in the first quarter last week, which we hit. And the reasoning was like the Ravens hadn't played in 2 weeks. So I think definitely Russ, like, when you don't play for a couple weeks, I think it was Steve Young who said for every week you take off, it's a quarter of adjustment. And actually that came to fruition like perfectly because the Ravens took 2 weeks off and they had 2 quarters where they were kind of mid, and then in the second half they went nuts.
So I definitely agree. Sorry, Will, go ahead.
No, I was just finishing my sentence. I was like, yeah, Steve Young, like, it was like right on the nose of that with that analysis. Like he said that a long time ago.
I agree. I think it was likely just rust for the reasons Walt just gave, and also, I mean, you think about it, like, yeah, they didn't put up a lot of points, but I mean, they only gave up 3 points on offense. I mean, they got to Texans got to 10 because of a punt return touchdown. So really, I mean, like the defense looked solid the whole game. They only gave up 3 offensive points. So, but yeah, like I definitely expected them to put. I didn't think we'd be tied at halftime, Chris. So my vote's on Russ too here.
Yeah, John said Kelsey under 5.5 receptions. He went nuts, but only had 5 receptions. Boosie got busted for gambling. Okay, I didn't hear that. It's still weird that they would have odds for that, but yeah, I mean, he's not good enough to stay on the roster, like Calvin Ridley or something.
Hey, if he got busted for gambling, maybe he should get bet on himself to get released, huh?
Yeah, well,
there you go, Butte. If you're watching, I'll place the bet for you in case they're got eyes on you.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. If you think you're going to lose your job, might as well just.
Either you keep your job or you win the bet. So
it's like a severance package almost. So funny.
Exactly.
Alan says I hit Jameson Williams receptions under last week. That's another good one. I think he's overrated too. Like I made this point before. If like Jameson Williams wasn't from Alabama and he was from like Northwest, Southwest San Diego State, he would not have anyone backing him at all. Like, but people remember him from Alabama. Like he's going to be good. Like he just hasn't done anything in the NFL. Like maybe he will one day, but we haven't seen any proof of that at all. So I am on board with betting under Jameson Williams and not playing him in DFS at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's up, Cassandra? How you doing?
So a lot of people lost those week 1 with Aaron Rodgers over half passing yards. Oh man, that's a good point. That's another
there
one.
You go.
He says, I think it was an underdog, and I think they refunded the bettors. Oh, that's nice of them to refund the bettors. But yeah, that's funny that actually the one of those did actually lose. Not funny for the Jets fans, but yeah.
Right. Or Rodgers, I guess. But no, that's interesting because actually I remember last season it was a December game. It was that Cardinals Patriots Monday night game, and I think I took Kyler Murray. It was actually when I used to do daily picks. I took Kyler Murray over rushing yards, and I think he got hurt on like the 3rd play, and they refunded it. So I feel like, I mean, I've only seen it happen like a handful of times, but I feel like the books are, because I didn't expect them to. You know how they are. Like, what are they going to do? It's not like people are going to stop betting or anything.
Right.
So I've seen them do that on a few occasions. I'm surprised that they do, but that's cool. So it's not. Well,
it's nice that there's a lot of competition now. It feels like everyone has sports books these days, and like the more sports books, the better. Whereas like there's really only like one DFS site really. Like I know there's DraftKings, FanDuel, but like FanDuel is like they have trouble filling contests. Like tonight, I was playing on both sites because I found that I had a little bit of money in the FanDuel sportsbook, fantasy thing. So for DraftKings tonight, their late NBA contest, which is the 10 o'clock slate, they had $50K to first, and there were like 9,000 people in there, and the contest filled like pretty quickly. On FanDuel, they only had 5,000 to first in this slate, and they had 3,000 entries, and they had 3,300 entries, like the 3,300 seats, and like there are only 2,500 entries in there. So like there's like 800 person overlay. It's like, and it's not like a great price, like 5K compared to 50K. Like it's not as much incentive, but it just goes to show that like DraftKings is so much more successful than FanDuel these days.
Yeah.
Although I do like FanDuel Sportsbook better than DraftKings Sportsbook, so for what it's called. Yeah. John says Butte got charged with the first degree felony for over 8,900 illegal bets in college. That minus 300 was a joke, by the way. I'm sorry. Yeah, no severance package. But 8,900 bets.
8,900. How old is this guy again?
I mean, he's like early mid 20s, but I assume that he was running a book. He was making 8,900 bets. He had to been running a book of some sort. Maybe he got inspired by the Sopranos. Yeah, that's crazy. Alan says that was your call. He had targets, but he does suck. Thanks for that tip. You're welcome. Just fade the overrated players, Hardman and James Williams.
Okay, so I just did. Okay, so Butte is 21.
Yeah.
Let's just say, for argument's sake, I mean, I'm sure he found a way to gamble before the age of 21, but the legal age to gamble, 21. If he's been gambling for a year, 8,900 bets, that would be 24 bets a day. I guess that's not that out of the realm of possibility for some people, but
well, I mean, if you're running a book, that's pretty
right,
reasonable.
right. I mean, if he was, but I mean, I guess there's some people that they're doing a lot of props and stuff, but 24, yeah. I mean, these are just rough numbers, I
don't think you're making 8,900 bets for yourself. That's crazy.
Depends on who you ask, I guess. Maybe I might know a couple people that would, but
I guess, yeah, I don't know. It had to have been a sports book of some sort.
There's got to be more to that, I feel like.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the second game. It is Lions at the 49ers. This line is still 49ers -7. Actually see some -7, -120s out there. We could see 7.5, and I think that's because the Lions center Frank Ragnow hasn't practiced yet. He's been DNP Wednesday and Thursday. So is Jonah Jackson. So there's a chance that the Lions are going to be without two starting offensive linemen. Although I still think it's going to be, I'll still be surprised if Ragnow misses this game. I think Jonah Jackson will miss this game. I don't think that's a huge deal. I feel like he's the weakest link on that offensive line. So his replacement's not going to be that much worse. And plus, you can miss one offensive line and still be good. I'll point to the Eagles of 2017 as an example of that. They lost Jason Peters. They still won the Super Bowl. So, you can get away with one missing offensive lineman, especially if it's someone who's just, above average, like Jonah Jackson. But, losing Frank Ragnow is, A, he's the center. B, that would be the second offensive lineman loss. That's kind of a big deal. So, it's something to look out for. Like as with Pacheco, the Friday injury reports can be important. But yeah, I still love the Lions here. And if Ragnow's out, and I'm debating between this and the Ravens game as my pick of the month. If Ragnow's out, then that'll probably make Baltimore my pick of the month. Right now, I'm considering co-picks of the month, 7 units each. Because if I go 8-5, that's 13 units. If I go 7-7, first of all, it's a great drink, and second, it's only one more unit than the two combined. So, I love the Lions. I think this line's way too high. I think the spread should be around 3, maybe 3.5, but 3 really. And I don't think the Niners are as good as people say they are. I have concerns with their offensive line, as I said earlier, just really not that good. They have issues in the secondary, so if they can't get to the quarterback, which again, Ragnow important. They're going to have trouble defending the pass. And I think that the Lions match up pretty well against them. So not only is the spread too high, I think the matchups favor Detroit for the most part. Not all of them. I think Ayuk and Kittle should have big games. But Deebo Samuel could be limited too. And as Jacob pointed out on Tuesday, the Niners this year are 0-5 and when Samuel plays 20 or fewer snaps. So we'll see. Samuel was DNP on Wednesday, limited on Thursday. I think he's going to play, but there's no telling if he's going to be 100%. So, give me the Lions. Hopefully Ragnow plays, but that's going to dictate whether this is my pick of the month or not. So who do you like here?
Yeah. Hey, Walt, I heard you had a little Freudian slip there. You said the Chiefs and the Lions. I wonder if maybe that's a little foreshadowing for anyone that follows me on Twitter. I made a response video to the Super Bowl rigged conspiracy. For those of you that might have seen that news, the screenshot of the news report that said that Post Malone and Usher are going to be playing at the Super Bowl with the Ravens and 49ers, and everyone's been freaking out about it. So if you follow me on Twitter, check that video out. That would be cool for the support. I really love the Lions here. I know I'm slightly biased, and we'll get into this in a second because I know we both have futures on the Lions that we placed before the season started to win the Super Bowl. Geez, I'll tell you what. I mean, what a heartbreaker as a Packers fan. The 49ers at no point deserved to win that game. And the Packers had so many chances. I don't blame Anders for the missed field goal. I mean, yeah, that sucks. I knew he was going to miss that too. I knew he was going to miss it. I wish I could have thought to like live bet it, like next play, like missed field goal. I knew he was going to. And you know what? How many times in the past several years and against the 49ers have special teams come back to haunt Green Bay? And I knew during the season that Anders was that might come back to bite us, and it did. But really, I mean, like Savage should have had a pick six in that first quarter on Purdy. Like, I mean, there are so many opportunities. The Packers played a really good game. Aaron Jones ran all over him too. So Aaron Jones ran all over him. What are Gibbs and Montgomery going to do? You know, I mean, Purdy. What has I know this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion. What has Purdy done? Okay, I mean, he played the worst team in the playoffs last year in the first round in Seattle. He played what was that? It was like 19-14 against the Cowboys last year. Come on, the Cowboys, they always blow it. We didn't get to see what he could do in the NFC Championship game because of the injury, unfortunately. But like, look at him. He didn't look. He looked shaky at best, in my opinion. And my buddy Zay, I don't know if you're watching, but he said something. I'm in this group chat with a bunch of my buddies that like to sports bet. I was asking everybody. I was surprised. Only one person that responded from our group chat of like 10 or 12 people. Only one of them likes the 49ers. And my buddy Zay said, I don't know. I just have a small feeling Purdy will cuck. and I couldn't agree more. I think he just didn't look comfortable all game. I cannot believe the 49ers won. It was really disappointing as a Packers fan, though the future is definitely bright for my team. But they didn't really do anything that impressed me in the last game against Green Bay. And they've they have looked solid all year, but they not as solid as I expected them to look down the stretch. I guess I should say they really look shaky. Yeah, maybe the rain had something to do with it in the game versus the Packers, but I really love the Lions here. Maybe part of me is biased because of the futures plays that I have, but I think this game is going to be very close. I think the Lions could win outright. I really hope they do. But I'm definitely on the Lions for at least 3 or 4 units here.
So, what's interesting about the Niners, like, and you said like they look solid, and like, I think people would agree with that. Like you go to a bar and like 50 people are watching the game, and yes, like, hey, were the Niners like great in the regular season? That was, yeah, of course. And then like you can ask them, oh, which games did they look great in? And you'll get like, oh, they beat the Eagles, they killed the Cowboys, and maybe you hear like, oh, they killed the Jaguars in that one game, and it's like, well, the Eagles after that game were terrible. The Cowboys were exposed in the first round of the playoffs, and the Cowboys, by the way, their big win was against the Eagles too. So it's like, let's not take that too seriously. And then the win over the Jaguars looked great at the time because the Jaguars at one point were 8-3. They finished the year with one win after that, and they lost. Their only win was against Carolina. So like, San Francisco's like big wins this year, and I guess you can also count Seattle in that. Like, not very impressive. And that one big Seattle victory that they had on Thanksgiving was when Geno Smith was injured. He played hurt. So like all the Niners' big wins this year have kind of like just have an asterisk next to them. And then you get to that Baltimore game on Christmas. Like the Ravens killed them. It was 33-19. It wasn't even like that close.
It wasn't even that close, yeah.
Yeah, just Baltimore just like manhandled them. And I don't know. Like I think that the Niners are extremely overrated just because of those big wins that they've had against teams that people thought were good at the time. It turned out they were not good. And Detroit, like I said, they match up well against them. I think Detroit's underrated. I don't think people understand how good this team is. Like, their offensive line's elite. Hopefully Ragnar plays, but still, offensive line's elite. Jared Goff's doing a great job. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown. They run the ball so well. Their defense is not great, obviously, but they can stop the run extremely well, and they can get to the quarterback. They're going to allow some big plays for sure. But I think this, at the very worst, I think this is going to be a close game in San Francisco's favor. but I think that there's a decent chance the Lions went outright. So yeah, I like Detroit for sure.
You're talking me into it even more now. I want to address Alan Stafford's comment here about Detroit ready for the stage. Are they outcoached? Well, they definitely. I mean, Shanahan obviously is a great coach and has more experience. But I'll tell you what, this 49ers team, to me, I mean, they look shaky. They look really shaky in that game. So it's like if they're going to look just as shaky, and then you've got Dan Campbell, an aggressive coach. If some of those aggressive play calls play off, the Lions can come out on top. Holy cow, Slew! Huh. Thank you so much, buddy.
Oh my God, $50 super chat. Wow. Thank you so much. Wow, this is incredible. Sue says, this has been a lot of fun and I learned a few things along the way. Thanks, Big Daddy Walt, for your quality website insights, plus the unique contributions from your sidekicks, O-line, Jacob, and the Quackster. This chat has been a kick. Hashtag good times. That's awesome, Sue. Thank you so much for this.
Man.
This is incredible.
Slew, yeah. It's been so cool to interacting with you. You've actually, Slew, you're the reason why I've become I brought my Twitter page back from the dead. I've been doing like the video game streams on TikTok mostly, and I haven't been very active on Twitter, but appreciate all your interactions, man. You crack me up, and it's so much fun going back and forth with you and bantering. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and and as a part of the Walter football family here. Thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. We are very grateful.
Yeah, it's awesome. This is unexpected, but thank you so much. It's awesome. And thanks for bringing in. I forget who it was. It was like I forget what his handle was, but you also brought in someone else in the in the chat as well. So yeah, I mean, it's so thank you so much for contributing to the show. It's
really
awesome.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Alan saying plus the cousin's curse. There's some.
Don't forget about that. That's the tipping point for me there. But I am serious about as aggressive. I mean, and you might argue that some Campbell's been aggressive to the part where it's dumb. Maybe he's made some dumb calls too. But I'll tell you what, if the 49ers play like they did against Green Bay, they're not going to win this game. I'll tell you that much. And especially if Campbell has a couple aggressive calls and they pay off, Lions are going to win this game. I just feel like in the last handful of years when the 49ers have been really good, I've been used to seeing that. It's like, they're going to come in and like roll a bunch of teams, and they roll the teams that they're supposed to. And it's just like, it just hasn't been as convincing this year. Like during the regular season, it just, to me, maybe it's from the eye test. It just has not been as convincing this year as it has been in past years. I keep waiting for it to happen. Purdy, I kind of made the argument. I mean, previously, I think I could argue he's unproven a bit. He didn't. I mean, if I'm a 49ers fan after seeing him play in that last game, I'm not feeling very confident. If I'm a 49ers fan, I'm not feeling confident at all. But I mean, maybe there's also probably, what this reminds me of? Remember, the Cardinals ended up covering, but I remember when the Steelers played the Cardinals in the Super Bowl. I knew this guy Rob at Westchester, and he was a huge Steelers fan. I was like, "So how do you feel about this game?" It was in the weeks leading up. He's like, "Dude, of course we're going to win. We're playing the Cardinals." And I was like, of course the Steelers did end up winning, but Cardinals covered, and then they had a lead very late. It took some last minute heroics there for the Steelers to win that Super Bowl. I wonder if there's a similar sentiment here, both for the public and for maybe I was using the example of 49ers fans here. Or they think, oh, we're playing the Lions. Like, don't worry about it. It's. I've really loved this Lions team. Obviously, I bet them before the season started. I don't have any confidence in the 49ers from what I've seen from them recently. Gosh, I really hope the Lions can find a way to win this game. But I definitely like them with the points for sure. So, but speaking of that, Walt. So what? We're talking about our Lions futures. So I'll just be candid. I bet it. I bet the Lions 3 different times before the season. So I stand to win $2,000 if the Lions win the Super Bowl. The payout. I got them at 22-1 a couple times back in April, and then I think I bet them again later. Maybe that was, maybe it was like maybe at the beginning of the season. But I think I got them at like plus 1,700, 17-1. So, but altogether, I stand to win $2,000 if they win the Super Bowl. So what do you think? I've been kind of putting feelers out, and I'll definitely take some input from the chat too. Do you think I should hedge at all in this game? And if so, what do you think I should take and why? And tell me your thoughts too, Walt, about where you stand on this for yours.
I always think you should hedge, but it's a question of how you hedge. Last year I had the Jaguars at it's like 110-1 to win the Super Bowl, and I had them in the second round against the Chiefs, and like I wasn't very confident, you know. John's saying I never hedge. I mean that is one way, just be a true gambler and just ride everything out. But I don't know, like I like hedging. Plus, if like you can maybe even middle at some point, but I don't think that's a possibility in this game. But so like what you could do here is that you could bet either San Francisco or Baltimore to win the Super Bowl. And like I was saying before, like last year when I had the Jaguars, I bet the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Because, you know, if the Chiefs had beaten the Jaguars, they'd go to the AFC Championship, and suddenly I'd have somewhat of a decent price on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. You know, whether I'd bet them in the divisional round, and suddenly they were in the AFC Championship. So I don't know if I do that with San Francisco. Like I'm just not a big believer in San Francisco. I feel like the Ravens will beat them in the Super Bowl, and that's why I say like I'd want to bet the Ravens to win the Super Bowl as a hedge here. You know, if you're expected to win $2,000, and the Ravens I believe are like 2-1 to win the Super Bowl. I think that like
I'm looking at it right now. +1, 49ers are +145. This is on the Hard Rock app where I'm limited here in Florida. And the Ravens are +185.
Okay.
So I mean, if I put like, because what I think I just put like just under 100. I think it's like $80 total, or 80, somewhere between 80 and $90 total between the three bets.
Mm-hmm.
So if I put, well, I think that's I don't want, what I don't want to do is, and I wouldn't, is bet the 49ers money line at -350. That's just not going to be worth it. What am I going to bet 350 to win 100? Get my money back, and if they lose, well, that's a significant chunk coming out of it.
Right.
I mean, I feel like I'd probably be more inclined to take the Lions +7 as a hedge, but I mean that could, that's not a true hedge, because they could lose by more than that.
Sure. Yeah. I guess like the safest hedge you can do is bet the Niners to win the Super Bowl, and then if the Niners win, you have that heading into the Super Bowl. You have them at plus whatever they are, +140 in the game. The money line, they'll probably, if they're matched up against the Ravens, they'll be +110, +115. If they're matched up against the Chiefs, then they're going to be -115, -120. So like you're going to have a good number on the money line with the 49ers. If you're going to be more daring, I say bet the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, because I know we're both more confident in Baltimore getting there and also winning the Super Bowl. So you can do that. Like it'll go bad if the Chiefs win. So like I said, there is more risk attached to this, but I think that there's more upside as well. Like the Ravens, you have the better number with them, and I think you have the better chance of them winning the whole thing. So what you could do is if you stand to win $2,000 with the Lions, and how much did you say you bet overall? Like $90
I think it was like
or something?
80 somewhere between 80 and $90 total.
So what you could do is like you could bet another 80 on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl at around 2-1. You'll get like 150 back if they win. So like you'll get your entry almost doubled that you had on the Lions. You could do that, or maybe bet a little bit more, like $200, 2-1, like almost 2-1, get like 380 or whatever it is. You could do something like that. Like you could even like do both. You could do like. So you stand to win 2,000 on the Lions. You could bet like 200 on the Ravens at 2-1, and then like 200 on the Niners, and just have both just in case. So you'll get your entry fee back, and plus a little bit extra, So yeah, definitely. I like that. I like that idea. John, by the way, saying.
Hey, thank you, John. Appreciate you, man.
John, for the $5. Thank you so much, John. Really, really appreciate it. He's asking thoughts on Atlanta effing up their head coaching hire. So I wrote this on the site. Like they were rumored to get Bill Belichick for a week or so. Then they got Raheem Morris, but then I was like, compared to Arthur Smith, like every coach is Bill Belichick. So like maybe that's what they meant, But it's Raheem Morris is like, I don't know. It's like I don't know what the example is. It's like if you want to ask like this hot girl to the prom or something back when you're in high school, and like she says no, and then you have to ask like the girlie who doesn't shower and like has like braces and like thick glasses, like that's who you end up taking. You're like, I'm going at least, but you know I had this like option that I didn't want, so like I don't know. Raheem Morris was a head coach before in Tampa. Yeah, he had a nice season or two, and then he failed. I think the team couldn't even quit on him at some point. Now I would say this, that like there was a lot going on behind the scenes there with Josh Freeman, but still, like Raheem Morris failed already. Like I don't know why he needs another chance. I think he's a good defensive coach, but overall, just not a great hire. I gave it a C. I don't think it's terrible, but it's pretty bad.
You know, I was wondering what does a coaching interview look like with Bill Belichick? It's like what kind of questions are they asking him? It's like so especially in Atlanta, it's like, so we remember you from when we blew a 28-3 lead against you, and you're like, you think they're asking him like situation, like what would you do in this situation? I mean, it's Bill Belichick. Like his resume speaks for itself. You know what I mean? It's more right. Like, so you want to come here? Like maybe it's more just like showing him around, like, you know, here's what like we're planning on doing with the draft sort of thing. Is this something? I guess it would probably be more like that. It's like you think they're like, name a time where you made a decision you wish you hadn't. Like, you know, like right. All those like dumb interview questions. It's like, look, you know, like some of the, you're like go to a job interview. It's like, why you got to get this detailed? Y'all need help or not? Like,
yeah.
So I was wondering that.
Yeah, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And Bill Belichick would be like, I don't know. Next question.
Having the most coaching wins in NFL history, I guess.
Yeah.
You ever see the COVID season when they asked him? They're like, you know, Coach, not having the fans here for this season, it's like, can you compare it to anything? He's like, I guess practice. I love that line. Or another great Belichick line was they asked him, they said, this is the 13th time, you know, you faced off against the Colts and Peyton Manning. Is there a common thread for, you know, like all the times that you played him? And he just pauses for a second. He's like, I guess Manning. Such a good, what a stupid question too. But
that's awesome.
Anyhow.
Yeah. He's the best. John saying Belichick probably wants to shop for all the groceries. Yeah, I assume that's why he wasn't hired. He wanted to be the GM again, and he's been proven to be a bad GM. So Red says, you're welcome, guys. P.S. Quacky, I crack up every time I look at your ex post of the dazed Cubs fan dejectedly walking up to the camera saying the wheels came off.
Yeah, that meme went. It got on TikTok. It got like 10,000 views. So it was pretty popular. Yeah, that's from the 30 for 30 documentary Catching Hell about Steve Bartman and the Cubs back in 03. The guy just walks. He's like, the wheels fell off. It's a perfect way to describe the Eagles. Start out 10-1, and in the last 7 games, it's like, what the hell did the whole team get kidnapped? And there's like, you know, people off the streets underneath those helmets. God, that was the most pathetic spiral I think I might have. The way this Eagles ended their season, I would put that up against. Remember the 2009 Broncos with McDaniels started out 6-0 and finished 8-8.
Yep.
That was almost as bad as that. At least the Eagles made the playoffs.
Yeah, there's been some great collapses. Like the 94 Eagles were 7-2 and they finished 7-9, and that was the Rich Kotite year where he didn't know whether to go for 2 or not because his math sheet got wet. True story for those who never heard it before. He didn't know whether to go for 2 or not. Like it was an obvious thing to go for 2. He didn't go for 2. The reporter asked him after the game. He's like, "Oh, Coach, why didn't you go for 2?" He's like, "Oh, my math sheet got wet. I didn't know if I should go for 2 or not."
Oh my god, jeez. Yeah,
and he got another job after that.
Wow. Yeah, teams be desperate, huh?
Yeah, seriously. John saying Raheem Morris reminds me of my team hired Dick Duran. Yeah, that's like another, braces, glasses, Pitbull girl that you take to the prom, but there's no Freddie Prinze saving the Falcons this time. Hopefully Raheem uses Bijan similar to Kyron. But he's the defensive coach, so it depends who he hires as a coordinator. I don't like teams hiring defensive coaches unless they're like Belichick obviously, or like Vrabel's great too, but like the problem is that like if you get an offensive guru who's awesome, like he's going to be hired right away. That's why like the Buccaneers lost Dave Canales today. Like he did great work with Baker Mayfield, and now he's gone. Like now they have to find another great coordinator. So they're just in a rough spot. Like I think I would always go offensive because if your young quarterback loses coordinators, it's going to hurt him. G Chuck saying maybe Atlanta has Bill why he signed Devontae Parker to a 3-year, $30 million deal at age 30. Yeah. And Belichick's had some very sketchy moves in free agency in the draft. So yeah, I don't blame it. If he said, "Oh, I'm adamant, I want the GM job," I'm like, nah, no thanks.
Yeah,
as great as he is.
I imagine he's going to stick around coaching until he. I mean, how far away is he from most wins? He's not.
He's not that far. I forget how much it is, but he is pretty close. Sumaretti says Falcons could have gone for Jerry Glanville. He's only a couple hundred years. He's a couple of years older than Biden. I don't know why. I don't know where I read a couple hundred, but yeah, Glanville. Yeah, seen him in a while. He used to be on CBS as one of the pregame guys. G-Chuck saying the Rams apparently got a couple of third comp picks for losing Raheem. Well, that's good for them. That's a sweet deal, I guess. And John saying rumors are he's hiring the coveted Zach Robinson as OC from the Rams. Yeah, I mean that would be nice, but again, like, what if Zach Robinson does a great job? Like Zach Robinson is going to get a head coaching gig next summer or next offseason, and then they're going to have to get another guy, and then whichever quarterback they get is going to have to go through different coordinators. It's a mess. Like, like I said, unless you get like one of the top defensive guys, like I'd always go offense. Let's say Boots. I had the over on the Parker contract.
Yeah, I need to get in touch with Boots. Maybe I'll help him run his book. This guy sounds pretty sharp.
Yeah, right.
Belichick is 16 wins behind George Halas for second. Belichick has 302 career wins. Halas has 318. So Belichick is 16 behind Halas. And then Don Shula has 328. So Belichick is 26 behind Shula. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm assuming that counts playoff wins too. I'm just off a quick Google search here. I mean, that's going to take depending on where he goes, that could take 4, maybe even 5. With the Patriots, the way they're going, they might have taken 10 seasons, but
yeah,
so,
seriously, he'd be like 105 years old, and like he's going out there like I need 2 more wins, and they got 1-16.
Wheel him out on the gurney,
No, seriously. Who's left? Seahawks and Redskins. They don't have coaches. That's it, right? Yeah, Seahawks and Redskins are the only teams. So does Belichick go to one of those two? Like, there's still Dan Quinn. I feel like he's going to get a job.
There's another. Wow. So Belichick goes from one team he beat in the Super Bowl to another. Both were highly. I guess controversial is not the right word, but very, very memorable games. We'll say. Can you believe that Super Bowl where they threw it on the one? Where the Seahawks threw on, that was 9 seasons ago now. That's insane.
It was the 2015 season. Yep.
I remember I was delivering pizza at the time, and before the game started, we took just an empty box, and we all wrote the score of what we thought the final score of the Super Bowl was going to be. And I put Seahawks 31, Patriots 28. And it was 28-24. And then when they were at the one, I was like, I can't believe I'm going to nail this score perfectly. And I couldn't believe it. I just.
Oh, man. I can't believe it either. I bet the Seahawks in that game. Had a nice bet on it too, and then they looked done, and then Russell Wilson had the comeback, and then they had that long pass to get them down there. And I thought that I didn't think they should run either on first down. I thought that they should do one of those play action bootlegs, see if Russell can run into the end zone, or he can throw someone open. If no one's open, then just throw the ball away and then run on second down. That's what I would have done. But to throw right into the middle of the field, that was ridiculous. It kind of reminded me of what Jordan Love did last week when it was first down, and he didn't need to do that. If it was fourth down, sure, it's you have to try something, but first down, just throw the ball away. There's enough time. You don't need to make a dumb pass like that.
The other thing that I think And actually, I'm going to bring up a couple other games that, like, we're still talking about that Seahawks-Patriots Super Bowl. There was still, 35, 30 seconds left. Even if they had scored there, I mean, it wasn't completely impossible that the Patriots could have come back. I mean, 30 seconds to get in field goal range, I mean, they definitely could have done that.
Yeah, that's another argument for running the ball, because if you don't get there, time ticks off and you force them to call timeout.
Yeah, exactly. I felt that way about another game. I felt that way about was the Minnesota Miracle with Diggs. Even if he had gotten tackled there, he would have been tackled out of bounds, and I believe that the Vikings had, like, they would have been in field goal range there. There were still a few seconds. Like, I think the clock could have stopped there. So I mean, it would have been a longer field goal, but that didn't need to happen. I think people think, like, I mean, of course, an incredible play, and that call by Joe Buck. I know a lot of people don't like Joe Buck. That's one of my favorite calls of all time. That was a perfect call by Joe Buck. But they didn't need the miracle. I think they're only down by one. They either had a timeout or he was right on the sidelines. Diggs was right on the sidelines. If they had tackled him, he would have been out of bounds. I think it would have stopped the clock. So there still would have been time. And the third game I'll bring up, the Dez dropped it game, Cowboys and Packers. People were like, oh, like the Cowboys got screwed. It's like, yeah, they would have taken the lead by what? Like, if they made the 2-point conversion after that, because it was 26-21. If they made the 2-point conversion, they're up by 3, and there's still what, like 3 or 4 minutes with Aaron Rodgers at home. I mean,
right.
Like, I feel like over time, like, people tried to paint that picture, like the Dez dropped it play, like as if it like would have ended the game, or like it would have been like essentially over. Not at all. There was so much time left. So I always, it's kind of interesting. Like, those things, like, have never really been, they don't get talked about too much. But these are the things I think about when I can't sleep. That was such a great call by Joe. Pass is caught. Diggs, sideline, touchdown, unbelievable. Vikings win it. Like, just like the cadence and the delivery, like that's all you needed to hear in that moment. Like if you're watching it unfold, like it was a perfect call by Joe Buck. And I know a lot of people don't like him. I think Joe Buck comes off a little condescending at times, but that was a great call. So.
Yeah, he does come off condescending. I think that's the main thing that bothers me about him. But like,
well, the thing about it too, I mean, he never really had to beat the bushes. I mean, his dad is Jack Buck. I mean, like, I remember Joe Buck calling the '96 World Series. He was probably like 16, no, but I mean, like, he was in his 20s, like, so he didn't. I think that plays into it a little bit. He's not nearly as. My least favorite commentator maybe is Bob Costas. I can't stand him. I mean, you don't see him. He's so freaking condescending. Remember the Bulls 6 championship win against the Jazz. Remember Dennis Rodman went off, and did that WWE thing and, like, went away from the team during the finals. And then, like, he had a great game the next day. And then, like, Costas, he's such a douche. He's like, off the court, his tired freak show continues. But on the court, it's like, dude, shut the hell up. Like, how much do you think he got paid to do one? And he's Dennis Rodman, like, arguably, like, the greatest one-ball defender of all time. It's like, get out of here, man. I can't stand Bob Costas. You don't see him call any games. I mean, I haven't seen him call a game in a dog's age, so.
No, I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know what he's doing, but yeah, I always used to make fun of him on the site, where it's like he makes fun of the peons as he drinks his like $1,000 wine or something. It's like what he reminds me of.
Yeah, he's diminutive. That's what he is.
Yeah.
So, did you ever see that interview he did with Vince McMahon? Sorry, and then we can move on about the XFL. He was like really roasting Vince McMahon. It's like, dude, what a dick. It's like.
I did not see that.
I wouldn't be talking like that to Vince McMahon, man. He could have, but hey, what do I know?
John saying maybe Belichick could be an independent contractor and teach head coaches how to legally take walkthroughs. You could teach. You could have seminars and like teach like
video
how to
consultant. Yeah, video consultant.
Right. Yeah. And the next one is like how to deflate footballs. Like he'll bring Tom Brady as a guest.
Equipment management consultant.
Right. John says it took the Chiefs only 13 freaking seconds to back up what you were saying.
Yep, that's right, John.
Yep. So Jacob called it. You can middle with the teaser now if you take the Chiefs plus 10. So yeah, if you tease the Chiefs with the Niners, and then you get as long as the Chiefs plus 10 hits, which like I don't know, I don't know if I'm confident in that, like because like that game could.
One of those two teams, I'm picking the Ravens. I'm not teasing Kansas City there.
Yeah,
Personally.
that game could be like the Chiefs Buccaneers Super Bowl where Mahomes is running for his life. I could see getting ugly because the Chiefs offensive line's not good. The Ravens get a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and Joe Tooney, he might be out. I actually didn't see his practice report today. Joe Tooney was okay. Joe Tooney DMP. That is bad news if he can't go because he's their best offensive lineman. They already have tackle issues. And now if they're missing Tooney, like that's bad against Baltimore's pass rush. So that could tilt the scale to make the Ravens my pick of the month. So I'm still waiting on the offensive line injuries for both teams. So G Chuck saying Brett Favre throwing an interception versus the Saints in the NFC Championship and game-winning field goal range. Another one. That was crazy. I thought for sure the Vikings are going to win that one.
I'll never, G-Chuck, I remember that game like it was yesterday too, and I remember that play. I was like, "What? He could have just run too, like, and picked up a few more yards indoors too. That would have pretty makeable field goal." But you know what? The Vikings, like that, it's never just one play. Even those plays give the feeling of finality. I mean, the Vikings put the ball on the rug 6 times. They lost 3 of them. I think they fumbled 6 times. I remember Adrian Peterson. Remember he fumbled like right. I think they're on like it was first or his goal to go. It was like on the 5. He fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Vikings had so many opportunities in that game. But agreed. And despite all that, they still could have and probably should have won. I'll never forget that. That was. Now, that was still under the old overtime rules. The first year of the new overtime rules was 2011, 2012.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I remember that. I remember that game like it was, geez. So what? That was early 2010. Geez, that was 14 years ago, Walter. That's
right.
Insane.
It's crazy. Yeah, we talk about how much time flies by. Like,
unbelievable.
Like people who were 22 now were not alive during 9/11. It's crazy to think about.
We have these moments all the time too because we've known each other for 2 decades now. So it's like it's so weird to be like. I was thinking recently about the undefeated Patriots losing to the Giants. That was 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think about like when I first started watching football in like 95, 96 and like games that like Super Bowls that happened 16 years before. It's like, I don't know. Like I didn't know anything. I mean, granted the internet wasn't around then either,
right.
Or at least certainly, I mean, I didn't have access at that time at least, but it was dial up and whatnot. But it's like, do like young people who are like, like new fans of the NFL, like young people who were in my shoes, in like I was in 95, like, do they even know that game? Like, how well do they know it? So it's crazy to think because that's one of the most, that whole season, the 07-08 season was like the most, I could tell you so much about that season. So it's weird to think about.
Yeah. The one thing though is like there's YouTube now, so if people really want to see it, they look it up on demand. Whereas like when we were growing up back in the old days, you couldn't really do that. Yeah, you had to like wait for like specials to come on TV to do that, or maybe rent a video at Blockbuster or West Coast Video.
I remember watching headline news. If Sports Center wasn't on, I would watch the sports ticker on the bottom of headline news and just wait. I mean, they would go through all the games, and I would sit there like glued if I needed to see like the score of the Orlando Magic game or something.
Yeah, there was a channel dedicated to just scores. It's so funny. Like you don't need that anymore. Obviously, just pull out your phone, just type it into Google. It's insane.
I remember there was like a phone number that I remember I called it a couple times for like to get the Orlando Magic scores as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like the Magic are leading the Bull or like whatever. And it's like, it costs like, it was maybe like 99 cents or something. I called it a couple times. Geez, how times have changed.
It's crazy. There used to be a tip line used to call for video games if you didn't know how to solve it. Now you just go to YouTube and just watch it.
Yeah. When I was like 7 years old, my mom, I could not figure out how to beat the Dr. Wily boss in Mega Man 3. And it's so dumb. I mean, I was also 7. But like you never really used I didn't use Top Man's weapon for anything. So
Right.
like I tried, it's so dumb in hindsight because I tried every weapon against the final Wily boss except Top Man. But because I was in my mind, my 7-year-old mind was like, oh, you don't use that for anything. Well, that wouldn't be it. And my mom spent, it was like, I don't know, like $1.99 or something. She called the hotline for me. And they're like, yeah, you got to use Top Man. So, man, it's
Wow.
funny. John Sanders.
They're also because that guy's obsessed with 9/11. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
John says Matt Millen called the Bills Dolphins game a few years back and said a defender can't even fart on a guy anymore. That is true. Millen, of course, is. I think so. And Millen is known obviously for his lewd calls during games. Troy Aikman, just to bring him up again. He said this past game, he said the end is hard, and he also said we'll see if he gets a head job. I write all these down. I have a bunch of them written down. I don't know what I'm going to do with them.
Absolutely.
I have John Gruden said, I love watching these two men. Troy Aikman also said he starts to come and then he pulls out.
What Booger McFarland once said, like the defensive end, like made a move, like made like an inside move. He's like, you see here, he comes inside of him. It's like, dude, Booger was the worst.
Oh my god, he was terrible. I thought when Booger was on ESPN, like he'd always be sitting down, like on the sideline. I actually thought he was handicapped, but I guess he was just lazy, really? And I really seriously thought he was handicapped, and like he just I guess was lazy and just didn't want to stand up.
He's not handicapped. He's just lazy. I didn't even notice that he was sitting down. I don't think I didn't pay much attention to him.
It was so weird. Like he would always be sitting down. Like, oh, this guy's in a wheelchair, obviously, and they're like, no, he wasn't. It's so weird. Super Nice says he's not an announcer, but I kind of like. I took a liking to Walt's good friend Mark Hag. He was this week's hate mailer.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, is that one of your Twitter trolls here?
He sent me emails like crazy. Like he first said his first email was let's see, he says, just saw your Twitter account. You, sir, are a piece of S. I hope you lose your life savings. So I was like, I replied like, you don't seem like a very nice person. And I this whole reply chain. He eventually was talking about how first of all he said he doesn't believe I have a wife. I don't, because it was funny because like he said he meant to say widely reported and he said wifely reported. It's just a typo, and I said my wife didn't report anything. And then like, and he says, I'm guessing you don't have a wife. And I was like, yeah, I actually have a wife and 2 kids. And he's like, yeah, sure you do. They live in Canada. I'm like, dude, if you really want to see, like, I have pictures of my wedding on my Facebook profile. Like, and he's like, why? Yeah. And he's like, why do I need to see this? I'm like,
you're the one bringing it up. I can confirm. Walt is married. It's not a mail order bride or anything like that.
Yeah, you were at my wedding.
Yeah. It's not an AI girlfriend or anything.
It was a fake wedding the whole time. It was not real.
Yeah. It was all staged just to fool me. All this
stuff. Well, yeah, and to get some nice wedding presents. So
yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that. Let's see. Alan says I was lucky enough to watch Walter Payton. Yeah, that's awesome. I wish I could have done that.
Maybe in my opinion, the greatest, not running back, greatest football player of all time. Maybe.
Yeah. Alan says scored my fantasy league with USA Today on Mondays.
Oh wow.
Yeah. We used to do that too. When we started my first fantasy league, I was 94, I think. It was in middle school, and I used to have to call in to my friend Joel. It was a commissioner league. Like I used to have to call in my lineup, and like it was funny that like back then I was just getting into football, like really like I knew the guys' names, but like I wasn't like super into it. And like if I made like a sketchy lineup decision, Joel would always be like, "Are you sure about that?" Just the commissioner like telling me. It would be funny if like now like if like whatever platform you're on, if you like start a guy who's like you should be started, like the guy. The AI would be like, "Are you sure about that?" Yeah, I think that'd be pretty funny. But yeah, like he would always do that, and so we wouldn't know who won until Monday at lunch, because like that's when he would tally up all the
Wow.
stats on like using the newspapers. So like I didn't know who I was rooting against. Like if I knew I was going against someone, like I knew their best player or something like that, but I didn't know everyone I was going against. I had no idea if I'd won until like Monday at lunch. So it was a different time. It was crazy.
That's I didn't. I mean, I figured somebody was. I didn't know that you had played fantasy for that long.
Yeah, I had Jerry Rice on my first fantasy team. That was like the year that he got injured. I had Herman Moore. I had
Herman Moore. Wow.
Yeah, a bunch of old players.
Wow, that's
John
awesome.
My first fantasy league, John Elway, and John Elway is my quarterback. And then I had who was the Raider? I forget who the Raiders quarterback was. He was on the Giants too. Raiders.
Not Gannon. No, that was too. No.
That
was like 10 years later. What am I talking about?
Yeah. Oh, Jeff Hostetler. That's what it was.
There you go.
Yeah, Jeff Hostetler was my backup, and like that was, I remember that, like Jeff Hostetler like caught fire for like 3 games, and so I started him over Elway one week, and that was like Joel was like, really? It's like, yes. Is that bad? Should I not do that? I was like, I don't know. I like now I'm having second thoughts. So I was like so confident in that decision.
How did it pan out for you?
I did not do well that week because I had Jerry Rice, so like I was missing my first round pick. So that it did not pan out well. Let's see. Millen was dreaming of sausages. Yeah. He's on kielbasa's, not sausages, but yes. Something like that. Just the fact that network would allow someone to use the name Booger is a disgrace.
Boogers is one of the pronouns, maybe.
Yeah, right.
You can't.
I can't get canceled. It doesn't work.
That's right.
Alan says, "Can we start a GoFundMe to get Ron Wolfley on the live stream?" Oh my god, that'd be great. He's so great. The best announcer. He takes everything so seriously. He's the best. I don't know if you've ever heard of Ron Wolfley, but
yeah, I mean, I know of him, but I don't know I've heard his announcing though.
Yeah, he does the Arizona Cardinals preseason games. He goes crazy. It's like, that guy's like a pogo stick with pretzels for arms. It's like, what does that mean?
Oh man, I'll have to check that out. I'll have to YouTube some of that.
Oh, he's the best. G Chuck says, I remember when live stats was an advanced feature on fantasy sites. Yeah, I used to have to pay for that. That's wild times. Hostile. Yeah, thank you, G Chuck. Yeah, it took me a while to remember my old backup quarterback. John says, who would be the number 1 pick in '94? Barry Sanders, Thurman Thomas. I think Barry was number 1, if I remember correctly. It was a while ago. I don't know who else went, but Jerry Rice was my first round pick. And then I think that was the year he got hurt. Whatever year he got hurt, that was my first year in fantasy. And so like I didn't have him. I know I had Herman Moore and I had John Elway.
Jeez, Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas. You can't go wrong with either. I love Thurman Thomas.
Oh yeah.
What a force. He was a bad little runner, man. That guy was great.
Al says OG Love first team: Moon, Waters, Sharp, White, Jeffries. Warren Moon
Smith.
would be nice. Yeah, Emmett Smith. Yeah. I guess it would depend if it's a PPR league. Yeah, Herman Moore was awesome in PPR. I think we did PPR. It was so long ago. It's in middle school. I barely talked to anyone there. Although they want to do middle school. It was my elementary school and middle school was one. It was like one and the same. So it was K to 8, and so we knew those people forever. And we had a reunion like a long time ago. And like people are now talking about our 20-year reunion 30-year reunion for middle schools coming up soon. I graduated middle school in '96. So 2026 will be 30 years. And so they're talking about having a 30-year reunion. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll have Jerks of the Week, I'm sure.
Wait, when you graduate high school, what, 2000 or 2001?
2000.
Jeez. I'm 2004. This is my 20 year coming up here in June.
My 20 year was canceled by COVID because it was 2020. So
that's right. Oh, geez. Would you have gone? Wait, you went to the 10 year, didn't you?
I went to 5 and 10. I didn't go to 15 because I got sick. That was like the one time I got sick in like a 5-year span. I don't know, and I felt better that night too. It was weird. Like I felt crappy for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I felt great. It was strange. So like I didn't go to my 15. I was definitely going to go to 20. Like it's a no brainer because it's writing material at the very least. But I've said this before that like people I never talked to in high school at all would come up to me and talk to me for like an hour about football. They'd be like, "Oh, who do you like in the Eagles game? Like, how do you think the Eagles are going to do this year?" I'm like, dude, I don't barely know your name. Like I've talked to you in high school. We weren't friends. I want to talk to my friends from high school. And like I would get like cornered by these guys who'd be like, hey, how do you think the Eagles can do well this year? Look, I love talking about football, but like I wanted to catch up with old friends and whatnot, and like get stuck talking to like people I'd never talked to in high school. It's crazy.
Yeah, you should have charged. It's like
right.
Charge per the minute. You could have been like the in-person version of that phone hotline I used to call for the scores.
Right.
Yeah, like $1 a minute here.
Deposit another 25 cents, please.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like one of those. Remember in the old arcades, like the worker there, like you'd have like the whole thing, that thing of quarters. Mm-hmm. Like, and you would give it. Yeah, you could dish out the quarter. You could be like the walking change machine too.
Yeah, right. Like insert credit card, please.
Yeah. Isaac Bruce G-Chuck saying Isaac Bruce broke out in 95.
Yep.
Jeez. Yeah. What a team. That greatest show on turf team too. That was Kurt Warner, Marshall Falk. Remember Ricky Prohl? I love Ricky Prohl too.
Oz Hakeem. Torrey Holt, that team would have broken all the records. Oh, I mean, I know they have records, but like they could have had records never to be broken again if Warner didn't get hurt that year. Like that team was insane. Like they were scoring like 40 something points per game or something like that at one point. That was an incredible team. Pop quiz: Who was the Rams defensive player that made the tackle to stop Dyson at the one? Geez, I don't remember. Was it
It's a really like common name too.
It's a common name.
Yeah, like it's a lot of people have this last name. It's a very common last name, and
trying to remember the Rams players.
I think he's a linebacker. It was also shares his name with a rapper, an old rapper from like 20 years ago.
The only linebacker I remember is London Fletcher on the Rams.
Yeah. Mike Jones.
Oh, Mike Jones. Okay.
Yeah, Mike Jones.
Okay.
That was such an interesting play. Like the way Dyson just kept reaching, because it was like, because of the moment. Like I used to joke with my uncle about this, because like he was definitely down, and the game was over, but like he just kept. It's almost like he was like, hey, like maybe just because this is like a really unique situation, like maybe you could let this one slide, ref. Maybe you could count this just because of the magnitude of the situation.
Right.
Remember the ref the game is over. I remember he said. I always thought Dick Vermeil. I remember if you hear like the mic'd up, I always thought this was like kind of corny. Like when he goes woohoo, like the way he like cheered when they won. I always thought that was like kind of corny the way woohoo, like the way he's. I'll have to find the clip and send it to you. I was like, that's your celebration? I don't know, especially after that play. It's kind of strange, but what do I know?
Vermeil was always the best. He would always talk up the other team. He'd be like, his team would be like 11-1. The other team would be 1-11. He's like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna win this game. It's going to be a really tough game. Every time. So, like it wouldn't matter what the team's record was. He'd be like, I really don't know how we're going to win this game, guys.
That's funny. It's funny.
Yeah. John says graduated in 2004 as well. Facebook was the big new thing my freshman year of college. Yeah. I remember getting Facebook my 4th or 5th year. Actually, I got it because I started talking to this girl when I took a I took it was like a tryout to write for the Collegian, which was the school newspaper at Penn State. And I met a girl there, and like we were talking about making plans afterward, and she's like, "Oh, are you on Facebook? Just add me." I'm like, Like, I don't have Facebook. She's like, you don't have Facebook? I'm like, no. Should I get it? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll get Facebook. So,
yeah, I remember I joined. I remember I joined Facebook on Halloween 2004 when we were living next door to each other in the dorms. But I'll never forget one of my best friends, Eric, who I went to high school with. He also went to Penn State, and we hung out a lot at Penn State. But on this particular day, I happened to run into him on campus, which is so strange because on Penn State, I mean, there's so many students there. Like the chance of you running into someone unplanned, like probably unlikely, you know. But I'll never forget what he said. Like, because I contend that I was probably one of the first 250,000 people on Facebook. But I remember my buddy Eric. He's like, "Have you heard of this website called the?" Remember, it's called the Facebook at first.
Right.
And I was like, "No, like, what's that?" And I'll never forget how he described it. He goes, "Okay," he's like, "So you make a profile and you find your friends and you add your friends and you can see their friends and you can be friends with their friends." I was like, "Whoa, that's kind of interesting." But I was hesitant at first. I knew about it for at least a month, and everyone was joining. And then I finally, because I went to the Ohio State Penn State game in Ohio State, and I remember I got back on Halloween night, and I was like, and Dave, my roommate, he had joined, which is funny because he's not on any social media now. But then I was like, okay, I guess I'll just join. But it was only open to maybe 40 colleges, 40, 50 colleges, and Penn State was one of them.
Yeah,
I would say that I would be willing to wager I was in definitely the first 500,000. I would say maybe because Dave and I have talked about this, maybe the first 250,000. I don't know. I mean, I'll never know for sure, but yeah, we were on there pretty early before a lot of people, so it's crazy.
It's you and Mark Zuckerberg. That was it.
Yeah. He's my only friend on there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I got someone to join too. It's great.
Who's this guy, Quacky?
When Mrs. Pac-Man was an investment. Yeah.
Yeah, the game, yeah.
Yeah. Or the TV show. That was the pre-greatest show. Can't Make an Eagle says took Brady with the first pick 1 year, then around 4 or 5, Randy Moss is still available. He's coming off being a prick in Oakland, so I passed on him. Yeah, I know that. I know that feeling. But yeah, people had that combo that year, which was unstoppable in fantasy. Randy
Moss is my favorite football player of all time. He's my favorite player of all time. Remember his rookie year? Mm-hmm. No one could catch him, man. That Thanksgiving game.
The Vikings team went 15-1. Yeah. The Vikings team went 15-1. With Randall Cunningham coming out of nowhere. That was amazing. We got robbed of a great Super Bowl. Speaking of best Super Bowls you ever watched, Alan is asking, we got robbed of a great Super Bowl with Denver, Minnesota that year. That would have been a great matchup. Instead, we got a blowout with Denver, Atlanta.
34-19. I remember.
Yeah, best Super Bowl you ever watched. What do you think?
That's tough. I will before I answer that Viking, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl, I could make the argument they were the best team I've ever seen in my lifetime. I couldn't believe. I mean, you couldn't stop them. Robert Smith out of the backfield, Chris Carter, they had John Randall on the defensive line. That was a team, man. Mm-hmm. What a team. Denny Green, the late great Denny Green. I love Denny Green. Who's the coach? Best Super Bowl I've watched. Well, other than the ones where I've seen the Packers win, as a fan, of course I was happy about that. I think the first one that comes to mind, I mean, there's many that were memorable for many different reasons, Alan, but that 07-08, the undefeated Patriots losing, I'll just, geez, I was sure Green Bay was going to win the Super Bowl that year. I talked about this last week, but I just knew that the Patriots were stumbling to the finish. Remember, they beat the Chargers in the AFC Championship game 21-12. Mm-hmm. Phillip Rivers had one leg. No LT, no Antonio Gates, and they only won 21-12. I was like, there's no way. I was like, they're stumbling to the finish line. I thought for sure the Packers were gonna win the Super Bowl that year, and then that was just memorable because I'm glad that they didn't go undefeated. So that's memorable for many reasons. Pittsburgh versus Arizona, Alan. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh no. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I don't know. I thought that Patriots Rams in not this most recent one with Jared Goff, the one in 2001 when the Patriots were huge underdogs and the Rams were still the greatest show on turf. They were so invincible, and Tom Brady back then was an unknown guy. Like he was living the dream. He's the backup quarterback who took over for Bledsoe. no one gave the Patriots a chance. I think I picked them that in that game. And like my friend Dan in at Penn State, he was a big Patriots fan. And like I remember I told it was for those who've been reading the site for a while, it's NCAA Dan who used to do college picks on the site. I remember telling him I thought the Patriots were going to win. He was like shocked. He's like, "Really? We have a chance against the Rams?" And that I don't know. That game was like there was not a lot of scoring, but like it was so intense. It was so close the whole time. It just felt like one thing could have gone the other way. And I remember the call that John Madden said. He's like, I think I'd take a knee here and go to overtime. And like Brady just defied, one of the great minds that football has seen. And the Patriots won at the end. And it was, I sometimes rewatch that final drive. Sometimes it's so it's really cool.
Oh, really? That's that's interesting. That was so long ago. You know what part of that's when the winning kick went through for Vinatieri? I can't think of his name off the top of my head. The Patriots player that came down and did the Snow Angel.
Yeah,
I don't know
because he did Snow Angels in that Raiders game.
Yep.
And so he kept doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, for some reason, like I was look back at just that part, like because I agree it was a very exciting ending, but I always thought that was like obnoxious in a way. I always hate like when I rewatch that, I was just like, oh, here he comes, like running down Snow Angel. But no,
yeah.
that was a good one. That was a good game too.
Yeah. Chicho saying MSN Messenger was a thing in the 2000s. Yeah, I remember AIM was. No, I don't. I think I did. There was also Yahoo Messenger, which I had because one of my girlfriends in college, she had Yahoo Messenger for some reason. So like it was like that's how I talked to her because she went to Millersville, I think, which was like an hour and a half away from Penn State. So like we used to talk that way. But whatever. I mean, I don't know why she had Yahoo Messenger, but
I used AIM all the time. Me on a Friday night in 9th grade, about to spit some game to your girl, on AIM.
I loved AIM. Like as I said before, like I had away messages, which was like the precursor for Jerks of the Week. What I loved to do more than anything, like was like pre-gaming at Penn State. Like like if I went out to the bars at like 11, I'd start drinking at like 9:30, and then like by 10:30, I'd be hammered already because like you're a poor college kid. You can't like buy drinks at the bar, so you have to get hammered in your dorm. So like I'd be drunk already, and I'd be like talking to people on AIM, and like they'd be sober, of course, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And like it'd be like completely mistyped, and like I would like message everyone, and like I wouldn't like harass anyone, but it'd be fun. It was the best talking to people when you're drunk. It's so
great. me too. I remember. I remember when I first. So for those who don't, I think most people know, but Walter and I lived next door to each other in the dorms in the fall '04 and spring 2005. And I remember we actually like the first semester. I think like we saw each other and like said hey a couple times, but I didn't really talk to you until like December. I think actually '04 and like have a conversation with you. So for those who don't know, I don't drink any. I haven't drank for over 3 years now. But in my heyday, I certainly put them away. And I remember seeing you out in the hallway. I was like getting drunk in my dorm room. And like, I didn't really know anything about you. Like we would just like say, hey, like we saw each other in the hall. And like, we started talking sports and you were like, I was like, oh, like you like sports? I was like, me too. I know a lot about sports. And then like you had this whole website. I was like, oh, damn, like this guy really knows a lot about sports. So, but like, it was funny because like it was right. I think it might have even been like finals week, but I remember I was like so drunk and I saw you out in the hall. I was like, dude, we gotta talk some more. We gotta hang out. And then that's how. And now here we are, like over 19 years later, still
it's funny, isn't it?
Still talking sports. That's mind blowing. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's crazy because I lived in that same room the year before, and I just never really hung out with anyone. From that year. I never really talked to anyone. Like the closest person I was with was the RA Jess. It was like a nice girl, but
she's cool. I remember her.
Yeah, but like I never had like a close friend otherwise. But then then I was friends with you, and some of the other guys. Like that next year was a lot cooler, even though we had some weird people, but still.
Certainly.
What'd you say?
I said we certainly did.
Yeah,
there's an interesting dynamic on that floor.
We had some really strange people living on the floor with us, which I I'm gonna have in my book, the jerks of the week from the college years. But yeah, it was definitely more chill that second year. So yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, jerks of the week, the college years. If you need someone to write the foreword, let me know. I'd be
Okay.
I'd be happy to oblige.
Definitely. Because you saw it firsthand. So like people will know I'm not making it up.
Yeah. I'm the key witness here to this book.
Yeah, man, we had so many weirdos on the floor, but it made for great writing material.
Yeah, present company included. So don't.
Well, I was like the loner guy who lived in, because I had a solo dorm. Everyone else was paired up. I was like the one guy.
That was such a cool setup, man.
Oh my god, I loved living by myself, because they had a lottery set up. So like after my third year, my first 2 years I lived with Dennis, who right now is the developer of the site, and then my third year I lived with this guy Jared, who's a farmer, and like he was a nice guy, but like it was strange living with him, because like he wasn't used to technology. Like he had no computer, he had nothing. Like he didn't watch TV. He would go to bed at 8:00 just because like he was on a farm schedule, and then he'd get up at like 5 a.m. and it was like I'd feel bad, like, because I'd have the football game on and like he was trying to sleep. I'm like, I have to watch this for the site, but he didn't complain or anything. I just felt bad that like I had the TV on. But like he was just like always like super straight edge, like didn't do it, like just like came back, did his homework, went to dinner, came back, brushed his teeth, went to bed. Like it was just like clockwork with him. I think he went out like once or twice. Like I saw him, like it was like a birthday or something that he went out. But like it was such a weird thing that like he just didn't have a computer, just because like he was a farmer guy. So anyway, yeah. So but then after that third year, I was like, oh, am I going to get an apartment or something? I was like thinking about it, but they had a lottery to enter get your own private dorm, and I won the lottery. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, I get to live by myself. So I did that for the next 3 years.
It's funny too, because I didn't even originally live in that room next door to you. I lived in East, and Dave's roommate just never came back to Penn State. And Dave and I were best friends from high school. And I was like, can I move in with you? We're like, yeah. So we made it happen. And then rest is history. Now we're on the WalterFootball.com podcast 19 years later. So
that's great.
Funny
how
life does that,
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Can't make an eagle. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. What do you say? Oh, yeah. So Pittsburgh, Arizona, worst beat ever. Had Arizona the first half +1 or 2. Yeah. And then one or third interception by it was James Harrison, wasn't
Harrison,
it?
yeah.
For
some reason, I hate that play. I hate that play.
I know.
And I don't know why. I just don't like it. I mean, it's an incredible play, but I just don't like it. And I have no reason to. I remember I had 200 on the Cardinals, and that +7, and they covered. And I think I put 100 on Larry Fitzgerald to score a touchdown. So like I cleaned up that night. Especially at the time, I was pretty broke. I should not have been betting that much at the time. But so like I had no reason, but I don't know why that play. I really wanted the Cardinals to win. Maybe that's why. But
yeah, I had a big bet on the Cardinals too. So I think that just tilted me too much. But
I bet the Cardinals every round that year, and they covered every time.
Yeah, but I had them NFC Championship and Super Bowl, and I'm not sure if I had them in the first round. I did not have them in the second round. I thought the Panthers were too strong. But
yeah, I didn't take him against the Panthers. I took him against the Falcons in the first round, and that was the game. You said Jake Delhomme. Someone must have kidnapped Jake Delhomme's kids or something because he played. So I remember that.
Yeah. I said I would say someone kidnapped Jake Delhomme's kids, and then I made that joke, that Liam Neeson joke, where he's like, I have a set of skills, and like I actually got some hate mail for that. It was like from one person. And they're like, how dare you say that Jake Delhomme's son was kidnapped? This is no laughing matter. Actually, like Googled it. Like Jake Delhomme doesn't have a son; he had like 3 daughters, and I was like, "It's not a real person I'm talking about."
Yeah, so and people take a joke.
I know, seriously, just calm down. But I thought the Panthers too strong. But yeah, I remember betting against. Was that Matt Ryan game, right? When they were like the Falcons lost like 25-2, or it was like a weird score like that, wasn't it?
They lost to the Giants 21-2.
This is the Giants 21-2. Okay.
Yeah, that was the 11. That was the 11-12 season. That was the year that the Giants won the Super Bowl. They won 21-2, and then they beat the Packers 34-20.
Right.
The next week, and then they beat the Giants, or they beat the 49ers, I think 20-17 in overtime. Can't remember who it was on the 49ers that muffed that punt and set up the Giants to win. And then they beat the Patriots 21-17 in that Super Bowl. Damn, still got it on the memory.
Yeah. I guess that was a different Atlanta futility loss. Vikings, Vikings are electric indeed. This one's for John. Super Bowl is great. For anyone not a Packers fan. That's true.
I remember that one. I mean, what a great team, though. I mean, Terrell Davis is one of my favorite players, too. Weren't for those remember he used to get those migraines?
Oh, yeah.
He couldn't see straight, but what an incredible runner. Holy cow.
Yeah, it was awesome. Alan saying that the Pittsburgh Arizona game had the most incredible plays and was the most back and forth. Crazy catch the tie and then win too. Yeah. I mean, it was one of the best Super Bowls, too. I remember there was a snowstorm that year, and like we were supposed to have a Super Bowl party, and like no one was able to come because of the snowstorm. But it was fun to watch. And I think they aired The Office after that Super Bowl, and I'd never seen The Office, and like it was the one where they had the fire drill, and so like I was just dying. I was dying of laughter. I was like, that got me into watching The Office.
Yeah, I think that was the stress relief episode. I'm not mistaken. No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then Silver Rice says, nothing could match the experience of accessing the internet using dial-up. Yeah, that was the worst when, you'd be on dial-up and you'd be on AOL and then like you'd be chatting and then like you'd hear the phone ring. You're like, oh man, I got kicked off.
Yeah. The call waiting.
It's the worst.
I remember when like my family got call waiting. We're like, whoa.
Yep.
When another call's coming in? Yeah, because if you didn't have it, it's like someone tried to call you, they couldn't get through.
Yep.
Remember if you like called a girl in high school, like you might have to talk to their parents first, and it's like,
yeah, I liked this girl Sarah when I was in middle school, and I called her I wanted to talk to her. I didn't want to talk to her dad because like her dad was like this like imposing big guy. Like I was like 12 years old, and so I called her house like three separate times, and it was him all three times. So I was hoping to get her, or like even her mom, I think would have like asked for Sarah. Yeah. But like it was the dad all three times. I just hung up, and then like after the third time, he called back to my house, and because we had the they used to tell you who's calling, right? And so I saw it was that number. I was like, oh crap! So I actually listened in, and my mom picked up, and like in his voice, he's like, someone keeps calling my house from this number. my mom was like, I don't know, no one called your number, and so so that was the end of it. But like I was just me just being a coward and like not wanting to ask Sarah for her dad.
Dude, that's hilarious. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Mom still had a rotary phone, Alan. Or your mom still has a wow.
Mom still has a rotary phone. Nice.
They're so fun. I always love when you had to dial like a 7, 8, or 9. It's like it would take the longest time to come back.
Yep.
These are things that entertain me.
Yeah, that's crazy. I actually saw a video. There's these videos of some guy who he asks for girls' numbers and like he does it like creatively. And so he goes up to this girl on the beach and he's like, oh, hey, do you ever watch the show Stranger Things? And this girl was like, yeah, the first season was good, and then it got a little bad after that. And then he goes, it's the strangest thing that I don't have your phone number. So she's like, wow. She's like, do you want my number? And he's like, yes. And so he like opens his bag and he pulls out a rotary phone. And he's like, oh, what's your number?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she's like, are you serious with this? And he's like, yes. What is your number?
That's my buddy Eric and I'll tell you what, when he and I used to go, like we always would meet women. Like, I don't know, like we would just have like this funny, like goofy dynamic, and people would just like be like, what are these guys up to? And he would always have like the funniest like pickup lines. Like when The Dark Knight Rises came out, he would go up to a girl, like the first thing he'd say, like, quick, give me your best Bane impression. Like that's what he opened with, and like some girls would do it and some girls would be like, what?
Yeah.
But I remember one time, there's a reference to Mean Girls, but like, well, my part of it anyway. But we just like saw this, we were just sitting at the bar and there was this girl drinking alone and he just goes, hey, where's your family?
What?
And she was like belligerent. She's like, what the fuck? Like, she's like, do you think I'm from effing Africa or something? Like, I don't know why she said that. And so, like, I pulled the line from Mean Girls. I was like, if you're from Africa, why are you white? And she actually got the reference. But I was like, hey, where's your family? And like, she started talking to us. But the one good line, I've only used it twice and it's worked both times. You just like walk up to girls and I've been like, excuse me, ladies, I think I dropped my Congressional Medal of Honor around here somewhere. It's worked both times. So just give me street cred if you use it for those in the Walter football family.
Nice. Yeah. I always love those the Barney schemes from How I Met Your Mother. Like he would like design a fake website for himself, like how he's this like billionaire philanthropist. And so like when he'd like introduce himself to the girl, he'd be like, "Oh, you haven't heard of me? That's nice." And so like he'd be like, "Oh, excuse me." So he'd walk away for a second. So they'd like Google him and they'd find that website like about him being a billionaire philanthropist. I always thought that would work, but you know, not awesome. That I need to do it these days, but yeah. Awesome. Tweeting, John says tweeting used to mean stabbing a hooker.
I never heard of that.
I never heard that either. I'll take your word for it.
John.
Yeah. Lamont says Kansas City covers. They couldn't stop Kansas City at all. Yeah, we love Baltimore. We love Baltimore, both of us. So I'm kind of curious why you like the Chiefs. Alan says people legit don't know what a busy signal is anymore. Yeah. Those are so annoying when you used to like want to contact your friends to like hang out. And it was like busy signal, and you call back. All right, I'm gonna call back 5 minutes later. Still busy signal. So come on, like what's going on here? Get off the phone.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I was in downtown Jacksonville a couple weeks ago. I saw a payphone in an office building. Like I don't know if anyone's like I don't know if it actually functioned, but I was like, whoa! Like it was so weird to see. It's just like in like it was like one of those tall buildings. It's just like like on the first floor is just like chilling in the corner. I was like, I wonder if anyone like even uses this, or if anyone knows how to use it. Yeah.
Does it cost more now? Like, because I know it used to be 25 cents for a while, and then they made it 35 cents, which is what made people outraged.
That's the government for you.
Well, it's like with inflation, is it like $2 now? Like it's like I don't know at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about a phone booth? Yeah. What I saw a pay phone, not a phone booth though. That would be something to see there, Eagle.
What's funny is like sometimes you'll see phone booths and stuff like that on like TV shows, like How I Met Your Mother had like a phone booth, right? And it just shows you the age of the people writing the show, because like if it's a younger person, like they're not going to write about phone booths, but it's an older person, like they will. It's like Boy Meets World. I'm rewatching Boy Meets World. And they have like a lot of like Happy Days references, and like all the school gangsters all have leather jackets, and like they're like the 50s, and like I don't know. It just shows you that like
up in the sleeve.
Right, all the writers from the 90s on that 90s show were all boomers from the 50s, and like that just shows you how old they were. It's pretty funny how that works.
The beatnik look.
Right.
Did you ever have a pager, a beeper?
Oh no, I was not cool enough. No one is gonna call me. Like,
well, it was beeper. Like I remember my cousin. I had a cousin who graduated high school in 1999. He had a beeper, but like by the time I was like old enough to like even think about wanting one, it was like they were kind of out by that point. But like that's such like a funny like you would for those who may not know, like it's just like a little thing. Like some people had them in their pocket or like clip them to their pants, and it's just like. You get like a beep, like hence the name, like it just like beep you, and like just the phone number would show up, and then like you get to a payphone, and be like, oh hey, like call the number back, like hey, I got a call from this number.
Yep.
Like I mean, I guess that's at the time though, like it's like whoa, you have a beeper. If you remember Vegas Vacation, if you want to hang out with your cousin Vicky later, I'll give you my beeper number.
Yeah, people had them. I did not. Like I said, like I was not cool enough for people to call me. I had like two friends in middle school. Like we hung out all the time. It was just us, and like people called us the Three Amigos. And like they're the only people I was gonna call, or gonna call me. Right. Like I didn't have a girlfriend until I was like in high school, or my later years in high school. So no one was gonna call me, so I didn't need a beeper.
When you called them, when you would call your buddies, would you hang up if their parents picked up, or how?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I was I was at least not afraid of their fathers. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm serious. This guy was like super tall because I was a small kid. This guy must have been like
Yeah.
6'4", like huge, like hugely built. And like I was just like terrified of this guy. And like I was like, I like your daughter.
Alan
uh,
Jackson. Yeah, Jacksonville isn't too bad. It's cool here.
yeah. John saying Superman has to change costumes in the Starbucks bathroom now. Yeah, you can do anything in the Starbucks bathroom these days. Gold Glide says, but come on, who said back in week 2 that would be Lions Ravens at huge odds? Did you really say that? I'll have to check the tape, but that's awesome if you did. Congrats. I hope you bet them. That'd be amazing odds. I don't know what you could have gotten.
Oh, you're saying Golden Goliath. Okay, so you're saying you thought it was going to be Lions Ravens in the Super Bowl matchup. Okay,
Yeah,
because I know Walt and I. Okay, I see what you're saying. Well, hey, I hope you bet it, man. Definitely, definitely a good shot for sure. Yeah, but I know Walt and I we picked. You want to know something funny? Like I saw this TikTok video. Someone was like, who are you going to take? Put in the comments, who do you like this weekend for the games? And I wrote, I bet the Lions to win the Super Bowl before the season started, so I'm rooting for the Lions. And someone commented back, "No, you didn't, LMAO." I was like, "Yes, I did, bitch." But I mean, like, there's no way to share. Like, I guess I could share. I thought about like posting pictures of my tickets and like tagging him in this stranger in the video, but I was like, I ain't got to say nothing, Like, imagine like going online and like telling people like what they did and didn't do. I guess some people, but so I was like, I ain't got to say jack squat.
Yeah,
this guy, but also, I mean,
it's always good to have the receipts to shut people up. But yeah, he says 232 to 1 because of your show. That's awesome, man. Well, I hope you hedge. You should definitely hedge 232 to 1. But that's awesome. Congrats. Congrats on the opportunity to win that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So
Golden Goliath, if you give me a follow on Twitter, if you're on Twitter, I just made a video in response to the earlier tonight. I made a video on in response to the conspiracy theory, and I said that I mean, sometimes I just say things to try to get more views, like especially on TikTok. But I said I think that because wouldn't this be an interesting narrative? Even though like I do love the Ravens, but wouldn't it be an interesting narrative to end the season with the same matchup that started the season, Chiefs and Lions? So that's what I put in the video. I just sometimes I make videos and say things a certain way just to get engaged. People are like, no way, like you get more engagement that way. But yeah, give me a follow if you don't already. If you want to check that video out there, Golden Goliath, that would be awesome. I'll be. I mean, even if you hedge, it sounds like you're going to come out on top there. So congrats, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, I guess that's about it. It's great interaction as always with you guys. Thanks so much for John, the $5, Alan with the $10, and Slim Red Eye $50. Again, these are awesome. They really help us out. So really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for everyone for watching and commenting. As going live, thank you. Glad we can help. So yeah, for sure. Great show as always, Tom. I love doing this with you. And hopefully, we're both gonna be 2-0 because we have the same picks. So
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'll plug my Twitch here real quick if you have it. Yeah, so I've been playing I'm gonna do a Twitch stream here probably like half an hour after the show is ended here. Been playing some Super Mario Kaizo hacks. It's funny because I started doing the video game streams because I just wanted a reason to talk to people, and like a lot of time, like on TikTok especially, like having the game in the background gives people more of a reason to stop. Turns out I'm actually pretty good at these video games. I beat 3 Kaizo hacks in a week, so I'm working on some other ones. It's basically just banter with some video games in the background, just like you're on the show. So if you want to give me a follow or also QuackyTake on Twitter. Or TikTok. Would love to have you hang out. Let me know you're here from the Walter football family. Would love to have you hang out with us. So hope to see you there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, check out QuackyTake. I'll tweet that out as well. If you guys need the link or whatever. But yeah, check out Quacky. He is. I can confirm he's really good at those Mario games. I was watching him last week, and he beat some really tough levels. So if you want to check that out, definitely do that.
I appreciate it. It's funny, these, for those who might not be familiar, the Mario Kaizo hacks they're fan-made Mario games, and they're incredibly difficult. You have to do a lot of shell jumps or like throw a shell and bounce right off of it, and like it's all intricate. I told Walter it's kind of like hitting like maybe a 6 or 17 parlay. There's one checkpoint in most of them, but like to get through, it's kind of like hitting a parlay. It's tough to do, but it's cool to like see yourself progress through it and then finally get through it. So hope you all join. It's a lot of fun, and would love to interact with you all more.
Yeah, for sure. Golden Goliath is very informative, very entertaining, rare combo, and thanks for the great year. Thanks so much, Golden Goliath. Really appreciate it. And once again, congrats on that on that play.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Thanks for everyone for watching. I'll be back on Saturday with the Saturday notes, probably around 11 o'clock or so. It's a little bit later on the weekend, but gonna do that. And then next week, as far as I know, we're gonna have a normal schedule. I don't know what we're gonna do, Tom. I'm definitely definitely willing to do a show next Thursday. Not sure what we're gonna talk about, but we could do like a preview of some sort. And Silver Rider says that I missed Quacky's Corner. Is there a Quacky's Corner this week? But I feel like
there's going to be a Quacky's. I forgot about it too. Usually I'm flying by the seat of my pants here. It didn't work out for us last week. I'm gonna go with Ravens. I took Bills defense and special teams last week on account of the Chiefs leading the league in drop passes. Didn't come through for us. Let's roll the dice again. I'm not even sure if it's sometimes the lines for that prop aren't up, especially on the Hard Rock app, until closer to game day. But I'll take Ravens defense and special teams to score a touchdown. Again, mostly because the Chiefs drop a lot of passes. I could see a tip ball going the other way or something like that. So let me see if I can find it if they have the odds up here for it.
Well, while you looked it up, John's asking you guys doing a Super Bowl show. Yeah, I mean we're gonna definitely have that covered. Just all the props and whatever and the picks. And John also saying go Ravens. I don't want a Taylor Swift Super Bowl props. Yeah, that would be super annoying. I definitely don't want that either.
It's going to be like how many times will they show her on camera? I tried to lay off of talking about this because by complaining about it, I'm playing right into their hands. That's what they want. But it's like, even if I loved Taylor Swift, I would be annoyed at how much they show her. I don't know. Like, it's just strange. Okay. On the Hard Rock app, it's plus 500. On DraftKings, it's plus 550. Ravens defense and special teams to anytime touchdown, to score a touchdown, anytime touchdown. So that'll be Quacky's Corner for this week. Hopefully this time it'll come through, and especially if Kadarius Toney plays, better chance maybe the way he's been going. So
that's true. So, I like that call.
We can definitely do. I'm sorry, Walt, I didn't mean to cut you off, but we can definitely do a show next week and just ramble about old games and speculate about the game a week and a half from the Super Bowl a week and a half away. So
definitely down for that. So we're gonna be back next Tuesday with Jacob. Then Kenny, I don't know if we're probably not gonna do DFS. We might do like a TV show thing where we do that kind of stuff in the summer when there's no football really going on. But we might do like a catching up and like what have you been watching TV stuff like show or whatever if Kenny's available. And we're gonna be back with Tom on Thursday, and then once again Saturday notes on Saturday. Definitely check us out then. And once again, thank you everyone for watching and commenting. Really appreciate you guys. And Tom, always glad to do the show with you. Always looking forward to it. It's always a blast.
For sure. Thanks for a great show, everyone. We'll see you next week. So thanks a lot, Walt.
All right. Sounds good.